I was 7 years old on September the 11th, 2011, and that awful day cast a long shadow over my childhood. As a young Muslim, I saw the effects of the war on terror at home and abroad. At home, it meant rising Islamophobia and the steady erosion of civil rights. It meant the installation of cameras on streets near my childhood home. We were told that they were for traffic control, but we soon learned that that wasn't true. It was an area with a significant Muslim community, and we were being watched. As I got older, I became far too familiar with this. My community was not viewed as citizens worthy of equality and respect, but as a threat viewed with hostility and suspicion. At school and university, I encountered the effects of Prevent. It was said it was targeting radicalisation, but when it resulted in Muslim university students being reported for reading terrorism-related textbooks as part of their degree, we knew that its effect was to target Muslims and to erode civil liberties of all. If we're worried about free speech on campuses, it's the Prevent strategy we need to be looking at. In the last few years, terrorist atrocities have continued to rock communities across the world, from horrific anti-Semitic and white supremacist attacks like that which hit Pittsburgh Synagogue in 2018 and the Christchurch mosque massacre in New Zealand last year, to the far-right extremist who assassinated a member of this House in 2016, as well as the devastating attack that cruelly took 23 lives in Manchester in 2017. Everything must be done to truly combat these awful acts and to keep our community safe, to respect individual liberty, and to tackle the hate and fear that drives these horrific acts. But I have real concerns that this bill falls short by these standards. I'm concerned because it introduces control orders in all but name, threatening all of our civil liberties. Secondly, that it removes the statutory deadline to review Prevent. And thirdly, the bill abandons any attempt to rehabilitate and reform, and instead keeps individuals trapped in a permanent web of surveillance and prisons. On the first point, Madam Deputy Speaker, concerns and objections to changes to terrorism prevention and investigation measures have been raised by independent reviewers, including the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, and by civil rights groups like Liberty and Amnesty International, with Liberty saying these changes reintroduce control orders, all but in name. And as you know, Madam Deputy Speaker, these measures have allowed people to be placed under indefinite house arrest without ever having been convicted of a crime or even having known the evidence against them. That's why the coalition government rightly abolished them, but this bill effectively brings them back. And that's why Liberty say these changes pose, and I quote, a threat to fundamental pillars of our justice system. This should be a concern to us all. So I encourage members opposite to support amendments including 37, 40, 46 and 47. On the second point, Madam Deputy Speaker, the bill removes the statutory deadline for an independent review of the Prevent programme. To say this programme needs an independent review would be a serious understatement. Again, human rights organisations have consistently raised concerns about this programme, with Amnesty International in 2008 saying that it was, and I quote, developed without a firm evidence base and rooted in a vague and expansive definition of extremism. Countless examples can be found of its discriminatory impact on Muslims. In addition to the ones that I've already mentioned, I also want to include an 8-year-old boy who was questioned by Prevent officials after his teacher mistook the writing on his T-shirt and the labelling of countless Muslim individuals, charities and mosques as extreme by the government. The flaws of the programme have reached such heights that the likes of Greenpeace, the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament and Extinction Rebellion were put on Prevent documents alongside prescribed neo-Nazi terror groups. Madam Deputy Speaker, the case for statutory review of Prevent is clear, so I urge members opposite again to support amendments such as 38 and 51. And on the final point, Madam Deputy Speaker, this bill omits any effort to improve rehabilitation, which is an absolutely key measure to keeping our communities safe and preventing future attacks. Endlessly locking people up and cramming them into underfunded, overcrowded, privately run prisons is no way to protect the public. Instead, it is simply a recipe for creating more problems down the line. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I can't support the approach of this bill. We need to tackle terrorism, and we need to do that through prevention, but also by tackling the fear and hate upon which it thrives, by bringing communities together, and by never letting us be divided on the grounds of race and religion. Thank you.